The giant elephant lay helplessly on the ground, controlled by Li Yuanqing. The others also exclaimed. It turned out that what Li Yuanqing said was true. This person was really not from Ping City. He's actually from the giant elephant clan? When did they come in? Or is it that Ping City is no longer safe? It's over. It's over. Why are they all mixed in? What should we do now? Everyone who was talking and laughing just now became nervous. The giant elephant clan was one of the few clans that were besieging Ping City outside. Moreover, their patriarch, Domingkong, was the leader of the four great lords. He could be said to be a very important figure. Now that their clansmen had actually appeared here, they could not help but let their imagination run wild. Seeing this, the others immediately planned to run. Although they did not know when they were discovered, they had come prepared since they were already here. The moment an accident happened, a few figures sneaked out from the crowd. However, with Li Yuanqing's strength, how could he let them escape from under his nose? He casually threw out a huge traction technique. None of them were missed. They were all kicked out accurately. The entire team was smashed into a pile. There were a total of 7 people. 6 of them were stacked on top of a huge elephant. It could be said that they were all caught in one swoop. Young master, your discerning eyes are really powerful. Zhao Tian looked at Li Yuanqing in shock. He did not expect his young master to realize these guys who had sneaked in from outside immediately when he saw this group of people just now. Li Yuanqing waved his hand, and the giant elephant and the few people who were standing in the middle of the empty space instantly disappeared, causing everyone to exclaim again. I'll leave this place to you. Li Yuanqing left behind these words and disappeared with him, as if nothing had ever happened. Zhao Tian was also an old businessman, so he was naturally able to handle such a scene easily. He walked to the center of the venue and said to everyone, "Everyone, don't worry. There were just some small accidents just now. However, these outsiders who slipped in from outside won't affect our city lord and the protection of the sword immortal. Our Ping City is definitely unbreakable. Everyone, continue shopping." Although everyone was still a little worried, they were more or less relieved to see that they had dealt with a group of spies from other clans so cleanly. There was such a small episode, but it did not affect their mood to shop. After Li Yuanqing left the shop, he brought these captured fellows back to his small courtyard and let them out again. These people knelt in a row in front of Li Yuanqing with their heads lowered. Every inch of their skin could not move, and they were all controlled by Li Yuanqing. Even if they wanted to send a signal now, they had no means at all. Tell me, how did you get in? What are you planning to do, and what kind of destruction are you going to do? Explain. After Li Yuanqing asked this question, he released the seal on their mouths. They suddenly felt their mouths loosen and were about to speak when they were warned by Li Yuanqing. Let me be clear. I don't want to hear any nonsense. You'd better say something useful. Li Yuanqing looked at the first person. This guy's face revealed a fierce expression. He glared at Li Yuanqing angrily and said, "Cut the crap. In any case, we've already fallen into your hands. Are you going to let us go? If you want to kill us, feel free to do so." A blood-red vine grew out of his mouth and tore his entire head apart. Behind him, the blood vine had appeared at some point. At this moment, the blood vine's body was more like a normal person. He was still wearing Li Yuanqing's clothes. His facial features seemed to be much more normal. Compared to his previous bloody appearance, he looked like a person with a veil covering him. Our master said that he doesn't want to hear nonsense. You guys have to think properly. Every word is a countdown to your lives. The blood-red vines touched the faces of the remaining few people and were restless in front of them. Any dishonest actions would be taken away by the blood vines. They knew very well that they had really fallen into his hands. Their lives were in his hands. Although the guy's words were firm and powerful just now, he probably did not expect to die so cleanly. Li Yuanqing's gaze landed on the second person. This person's forehead was already covered in sweat, and his body was trembling slightly. His lips were trembling as he spoke. "Am I Lord Yu?" Uft. A sharp vine pierced his throat and blood surged out. "Ah!" The remaining few people screamed in shock. This kind of psychological torture was really difficult for them to accept. Even though they were already prepared to die, The intense psychological pressure of seeing their brothers die one by one in front of them was still extremely painful. Bloodvine stood in front of the third person and said to him indifferently, "I'll tell you again. You'd better think clearly before you speak. Our master has made himself clear. He doesn't want to hear nonsense. It's the Great Lord. The Great Lord sent us here. Master, please have mercy." Li Yuanqing gently raised his hand and looked at him. "Why did your lord ask you to come here? Why did you come to our shop and buy so many basic Dharma artifacts?" This person hurriedly said, "Our lord asked us brothers to sneak in and lie low here, waiting for the clan to attack from the inside." "Really? How many of you are here in total? Where are they?" As soon as Li Yuanqing asked this question, the third person hesitated. Although he was afraid of death, wouldn't he die if he leaked all the information himself? Just as he was hesitating, Bloodvine had already wrapped around his neck. The intense force directly broke his neck. He did not even have the time to take his last breath before he was completely dead. The remaining 4 demons all stared at Li Yuanqing nervously. What did this temperamental fellow want? Although their first 2 brothers did not say anything, their third brother had said everything. He had already said this, but this guy still wanted to silence him. How was he going to get along with him? It was the fourth person's turn. He carefully looked at the 3 brothers behind him, not knowing if he should speak. "Expert, our lord has sent several teams separately. We only know where our brothers in our team are. We don't know anything about the others." As soon as he finished speaking, his head fell off his body. He did not even have time to breathe. He was dead without any warning. The expressions of the remaining 3 changed drastically. They couldn't care less anymore and fought to report to Li Yuanqing. "Spare me, expert. Most of them are gathered in the outer city. There are many strongholds in the demon gathering area of the outer city. I will bring you to find them. Expert, spare me. I know where they are. Expert, they are scattered and live in the city outside the city. The 3 of us are still useful to you." The 3 brothers fought to say it. Li Yuanqing stood up and walked to the 4th person. This fellow looked at the tall Li Yuanqing and did not dare to say a word. He could only lower his head silently. Li Yuanqing walked up to him and suddenly placed a hand on his head. This hand was very quiet as it was placed on it. However, the next moment, the expression on this person's face suddenly froze. A wisp of faint yellow smoke spread out from the top of his head. After Li Yuanqing pulled this thing out of his body, he could clearly feel the unique aura of the giant elephant clan on his body. Li Yuanqing played with the faint yellow smoke and ordered calmly, "Kill them all. Please spare me. Expert, we'll bring you there now. Expert, please spare my life." Their final shouts echoed in the small courtyard. Then, there was no more sound from the small courtyard. Li Yuanqing looked at the wisp of yellow smoke in his hand. So it was this thing that had covered their auras. If not for Li Yuanqing's strength, he would have been fooled by them. Demingkong was quite cunning. He actually arranged for such a trap to be set up in the city. Fortunately, he happened to encounter it today. The man-eating vine's body slowly took form in front of Li Yuanqing. "Master, what orders do you have for me?" The man-eating vine had been guarding the city protection array recently, ready to defend against the invasion of powerful enemies outside at any time. Li Yuanqing pressed the wisp of yellow smoke into the head of the man-eating vine. Her eyes lit up and she sniffed as if she had smelled something. "These are all spies sent by the giant elephant clan. Capture them all, and they'll all be yours." The man-eating vine slowly lowered her head. "As you wish, master." Then, her small body gradually dissipated into the air. In the outer city of Ping City, something strange suddenly happened in the demon gathering areas. The people who were originally fine suddenly disappeared from the flat ground. Some were busy at home, some were strolling around the market, and some were chatting with others. These people were scattered everywhere. They looked very ordinary, and there was nothing special about them. However, their disappearance was very strange and caught people off guard. The demons quickly spread this news. Originally, the demons in the outer city were all in danger. After this incident, everyone was even more panicked. They had already become a peripheral race of Ping City. If the higher-ups planned to do anything to them, they would not be able to fight back at all. They were in a very awkward situation as the war between the human race and the demon race was imminent, and they were in such an awkward central area. Although the demons had temporarily retreated, the humans might want to take this opportunity to eliminate them. However, just as their emotions were gradually spreading, Juju personally arrived at the outer city and comforted them. Now, in the outer city, we discovered many spies from the giant elephant clan and the heavenly wolf clan. After a careful search by the guards, we captured a large number of spies. Juju personally arrived at the outer city and announced the recent events to everyone in the lively market. These foreign demons have ulterior motives and are prepared to cause trouble from the inside when they invade. At that time, you will be caught off guard and will definitely be injured by them. Now that we have caught all these spies, you can cultivate and trade freely. Originally, the demons were quite worried that it would turn into a purge. However, after Juju stood up and made a statement, many people were relieved. They could still stay in Ping City at this time because they trusted Juju. Moreover, they were quite satisfied with their lives in Ping City. Fortunately, the worst had yet to happen. The man-eating vine and Juju worked together, one in the light and one in the dark. Soon, the commotion in the outer layer was swept away. In the subsequent investigation, the man-eating vine discovered that the demons had sent a vanguard team before they attacked en masse and sneaked in before Ping City was sealed. They had been staying here since then. There were people from all 4 clans, and the number was about the same. There were more than 1,000 people from the giant elephant clan that had been captured. The other 3 clans were being investigated further. Most of these demons were like headless flies and were quickly found. They seemed to have cut off their connection with the outside world. It was no wonder. The few people outside could not even protect themselves. How could they be in the mood to make any plans to attack? Many of them had already begun to escape. If not for the fact that they were stopped halfway, they would have fled long ago. Only the giant elephant clan and the red lion clan were still active. After eliminating the spies of these 2 clans, the operation of Domingkong and Shi Fengchun fell into a difficult situation again. Senior Da, there's an expert in this city. He can even discover the restriction you set up. At this point, couldn't they realize? Looks like Ping City is no small matter. However, there's still no news from Lord Black Dragon. It's really hard to say what to do next. Senior, why don't we retreat first? The clansmen of the other 2 clans are in chaos. I'm afraid we won't be able to suppress them if we don't leave now. There's no way to retreat at a time like this. There's no movement even if we guard here every day. Are we going to kill our way over or retreat? The 2 big bears gathered together and discussed softly with anxious expressions. Xiong Batian had already been killed. The few lords in their tribe were about to fall out with each other. It would be difficult for them to maintain their relationships within the bear clan. And now, the tribe was already in pieces because they were forcefully tied up by Domingkong and Shi Fengchun. Even if one was not from this tribe, they could clearly tell that although the bear clan was still divided into one area, it had already been divided into 5 small tribes. Each small tribe vaguely had a center. As long as the battle here ended, their group would immediately fall apart and no longer have its former glory. Who knows? I think Domingkong seems to be afraid of humans now, but this was no wonder. There are indeed hidden dragons and crouching tigers among the humans. There are many powerful figures hidden. They killed our patriarch so easily. These humans are really cunning. In my opinion, if they had fought openly, they would definitely not be the patriarch's match. I heard that 2 humans attacked together and ambushed our patriarch. Our patriarch was killed without paying attention. What a pity. The 2 big black bears sighed regretfully. Xiong Batian had died a miserable death. Such a mighty great lord was easily dealt with, causing the bear clan to completely fall apart. On the other side, the situation of the heavenly wolf clan was not much different. Their boss was already dead, so the remaining leaders below were naturally unwilling to submit to others. The few of them were not convinced by each other. In any case, it was impossible for a new lord to be born in a short period of time. Choosing a new lord required a huge amount of resources. He died just like that. Moreover, the patriarch had many treasures on him. Many of those treasures would be passed down to the next patriarch. Their patriarch had been killed silently, and they could not find the treasures that were on him. Even if they wanted to hold such a ceremony and choose a new leader, they were completely helpless. The pessimism of these two demon clans quickly spread to the other demon clans. Now, the hundreds of thousands of demons were in a panic and were carefully preparing their way out. None of them knew what would happen next. If they woke up one morning, they might hear that Domingkong had also been killed. It was hard to say. Domingkong and Shi Fengchun naturally understood their subordinates' pessimism. However, they could not take the initiative to attack at this moment, nor could they cover up their pessimism. Therefore, it was quite difficult. The Dongming Mountain where they landed towered into the clouds. There was such a palace at the top of the mountain. At this moment, the two absolute leaders of the hundreds of thousands of demon troops were in a secret room in the palace. Senior Da, if we still can't decide now, I'm afraid the morale of the army will become even more lax. This is bad news for us. It's not easy for us to take care of this mess left behind by the two of them. If this continues, we'll be in even more trouble. Shi Fengchun did not look happy. He was clearly not optimistic about the upcoming battle. They had set up a powerful array formation on Dongming Mountain. This array formation was an illusion array called the Myriad Forest. This array formation could only be used as a defense. If the humans did not arrive soon, they would be wasting their time here. To them, the situation was getting more and more serious with every day that passed. If this continued, they would not be able to control the Bear Clan and the Heavenly Wolf Clan anymore. Domingkong was waiting for news. Lord Black Dragon sent us here. Originally, we had a total of 7 great lords when we set off. But now, in the past few days, our talents have withered and we have suffered heavy casualties. Only the two of us are left. Domingkong stood at the narrow window and looked at the clouds below the palace. According to the information we received, there's no experts in those cities. There's not even a formation arrangement realm expert. It seems that our information is wrong. Shi Fengchun said helplessly, Senior Da, what's the point of saying this now? Lord Black Dragon said the same thing back then, but who knew that it would become like this? I didn't expect Lord Black Dragon to have completely lost control of this area. It seems like it's troublesome. The Black Dragon that the two of them trusted so much had actually harmed all these tribes in this incident. Lord Black Dragon had really pushed them all into a fire pit. There was actually such a powerful human, but Lord Black Dragon had made them lower their guard. In the beginning, they did not defend with all their might, causing these humans to have an opportunity. In the end, they ended up like this. It was too late to say anything now. Although the two of them were powerful, they still did not know the background of that human. How could they still fight with their enemy? Domingkong continued, Actually, I understand if these humans don't have such strength. How can they force Lord Black Dragon to such a state? After Shi Fengchun said that, he became much more cheerful. If this human was really such a weak ant, they could easily control these two cities. But they had been beaten to such a state, it would really be nonsense if the human race did not have any ability. However, it was too late to understand this now. At this moment, they only had less than half of their strength left. If they did not have reinforcements in the future, they would probably not dare to attack the humans rashly. Then Senior Da, do you think Lord Black Dragon will continue to send reinforcements to us? If we continue to drag this out, I'm afraid we will only cause trouble. Although the Myriad Forest is stable, if we keep guarding here, I'm afraid the clans will be filled with complaints and fall apart. Domingkong said confidently, since this person is a thorn in Lord Black Dragon's heart, Lord Black Dragon will definitely think of a way to deal with him. Don't worry about this. I think it should be soon. On a mountain dozens of miles away from Dongming Mountain, Li Yuanqing looked at the tall mountain shrouded in fog from afar. There were also small mountains beside the Dongming Mountain. In the past, when they were not controlled by the demons, the weather would often be very bright, making the tall Dongming Mountain surrounded by mountains look magnificent. However, these mountains had all disappeared and were covered by the blurry fog. Nothing could be seen clearly. Li Yuanqing looked at the area from afar, his eyes flickering. Master, this array is very powerful. This illusion array can directly affect a person's mind. No matter how strong a person is, if their soul is not strong enough, they will easily fall into this array and be controlled by others. The Bloodvine only looked at it for a while before recognizing the origin of the array. Where do you think this array formation came from? It's said that it was quite early. At that time, humans and demons were on equal footing in the catacombs and fought each other. Many powerful figures with their own abilities were born in the human race. The Bloodvine was very engrossed in his story. Among them, there was such a master with extremely high attainments in array formations who created such a protective array for a human city. It's said that once this myriad forest is released, if you control it well, it can cover hundreds of miles. The space within 100 miles would completely change. Moreover, it can transform into rare beasts with extraordinary strength. If you're not careful, you'll easily fall into its trap. There are dangers everywhere. Is it that powerful? Master, you can't underestimate this array formation. Although your strength is indeed very powerful, I heard that there were many formation arrangement realm experts in the catacombs at that time who died on this array formation.
Li Yuanqing nudda.
He had a plan. The Bloodvine groaned in his heart. His master had brought him out again this time. Moreover, his master found some novel things every day and always gave him some problems. Why couldn't his master just hide in some mountain obediently? Wasn't it best to resolve the treasures he had obtained recently? At that time, his strength would increase greatly and his cultivation would advance by leaps and bounds. Domingkong and Shi Fengchun would no longer be his match. It was all a good plan, but Li Yuanqing seemed to be completely indifferent. He had such a huge treasure on him, but did not want to use it to increase his strength at all. Instead, he insisted on chasing after these demons who had already retreated. Master, in my opinion, I think they're completely disheartened now. They definitely don't want to attack again. Otherwise, they wouldn't have hidden here and released such a defensive signal. Let them go. Although the Bloodvine said that, he knew how strong Domingkong and Shi Fengchun were. These two fellows were not something the other two could compare to. Li Yuanqing could easily deal with the other two fellows, but it did not mean that he could deal with the two of them together. Li Yuanqing looked at the huge array formation with increasing interest. He asked the Bloodvine unexpectedly, "Did you prepare what I asked you to prepare?" The Bloodvine was complaining. When he heard Li Yuanqing's words, he was clearly flustered for a while. He thought for a while before realizing what was going on. Master, these things you want me to prepare are all Dharma artifacts for breaking array formations. Don't tell me you really want to barge in. You have to know that this myriad forest is different from ordinary array formations. The profundities within are extremely profound. Why are you nagging like an old man? I think you're just too timid. Li Yuanqing looked at him jokingly. The Bloodvine felt bitter. You know how powerful this array formation is, but you still have to follow such a master in. However, there was an inner demon seed in his heart. If he could not eradicate this seed, he would die if Li Yuanqing died. Master, I'm saying that we've already won a huge victory. We might as well quit while we're ahead. As the saying goes, don't chase after a cornered enemy, right? Li Yuanqing suddenly looked at the Bloodvine gloomily. He did not expect the Bloodvine to say such words. It was really surprising. Where did you learn your words? The Bloodvine seemed to realize that he had said something wrong and hurriedly shut his mouth. He pretended to be confused and replied, I just heard someone say it casually and think that it makes sense. Master, what do you think? That's true. Of course it's true. I'm just a demon. Of course, I've only heard some rumors. There are all kinds of people in the basement. I've learned a lot after living for so many years. There shouldn't be any problem.
Li Yuanqing transformat.
At some point, a thick bear skin had covered his body. After some modification, the bear's skin slowly filled up and finally turned into a bearman. Then you should have heard of a phrase called imitating others. Li Yuanqing smiled meaningfully at the Bloodvine and said, Since this myriad forest is a human array formation, there must be loopholes in the hands of these demons. This is our opportunity. Follow me. Although the Bloodvine was unwilling, he still obediently put on the outer skin that Li Yuanqing had brought over. After a while, a bearman and a werewolf set off from this mountain towards the Dongming Mountain. There were many alarms scattered in the fog outside Dongming Mountain. From time to time, a few demons would poke their heads out of the thick fog and look around before disappearing into the clouds. There was such a patrol team every mile, searching everywhere. Anyone who sneaked in would be targeted immediately. At this moment, two figures suddenly appeared on a small mountain in the south. One of them was stocky and the other was tall and thin. His upper body was sturdy and his lower body was slender. The patrol team carefully identified it. It was a black bear and a werewolf walking over with their arms around each other's shoulders. "Captain, what's going on? Aren't there many conflicts between these two races? Why are the two of them together? Where are you focused? Didn't the two lords already summon all the clansmen outside? Why are there still these two outside? Where did they go?" The demons looked out of the fog and discussed softly. The leader did not say anything at first. He had been thinking about these things. They had clearly called them back. So why were there still people running around outside? The higher-ups had ordered them to kill anyone who moved. "Captain, what should we do? Should we kill these two guys or not?" "Do it." On the other hand, Li Yuanqing and the Bloodvine, who were disguised as a bear and a werewolf, rushed into the clouds and the mountains in a daze with red faces. One of them was holding a wine bottle in his hand. It was obvious that he was drunk and had run out of nowhere. The two of them were completely unguarded as they approached Dongming Mountain. They walked on the path and sang a song. "My patriarch, you died so tragically." The two of them were drunk and singing a song that was half sad and half happy. It sounded funny. The melodious tune and these tragic lyrics were sung by the two of them, making the patrol team members feel sick of it. These two fellows sing really badly. Hurry up and kill them. In any case, these two clans are already useless now. The life and death of these people are not important at all. "Captain, we're all ready. We're just waiting for your order when to attack." The members of the patrol team stood on both sides in the fog and stared fixedly at Li Yuanqing and the Bloodvine. They were only a meter away from each other, but the two of them seemed to be unable to sense their existence at all. They continued to walk forward happily while singing a song. At this moment, the patrol captain ordered, and a sharp blade pierced out of the fog. The blade went straight for the black bear's face. At the same time, the other patrol team members took out strange weapons and attacked the two of them from all directions. Just as the two of them were about to be stabbed into sieves, the two of them actually sat on the ground with a plop. The captain felt like his brain had short-circuited for a moment. He could not stop the knife in his hand and stabbed forward. He had clearly watched as the two of them sat down slowly. With his reaction speed, he should have been able to react. He seemed to have suddenly lost his mind just now. The captain had a large saber in front of him, while his subordinates' weapons collided from all directions. All of a sudden, everyone collided with each other and wailed. "Ouch, oh my God. My butt is about to explode. Why were you so ruthless? Whose saber was that just now? Just cut us to death. What nonsense are you talking about? That's the captain's saber." The patrol captain's face was ashen. At this moment, the two of them finally saw the patrol team appear in front of them. The black bear's face was red. He stood up unsteadily and supported his brother for a long time before finally getting up. He looked at the patrol team beside him in confusion and asked in confusion, "What are you doing? Why are you sitting on the road for no reason? I think you're here to patrol, right? Why don't you stand guard?" When the captain heard this, he felt his face turn even redder. His attack that he had been accumulating strength for just now had completely missed. His scalp was numb from these two bastards. However, these two fellows were clearly drunk and swaying. That was why he had misjudged their location. However, he couldn't say that. The captain pondered for a moment and looked at the black bear. "Brother, this path has already been sealed. Why are the two of you here?" Li Yuanqing, who had transformed into a big black bear, swung his huge palm and muttered, "Don't mention it. I was originally a guard beside our Lord. I happened to accept our Lord's mission that day and went out to carry out some missions. Who would have thought that our Lord would never return after I left?" The werewolf sitting on the ground also hugged his head and cried, "Me too. Our Lord died so miserably." The captain continued to ask, "I don't care what you do. Why did you just come back from the outside? Didn't we call you back early and ask you to rush here? Why are you two only here now?" The big black bear replied, "You don't know. After the two of us learned of our Lord's deaths, we secretly ran to a human city and wanted to kill the human city lord. Assassinate the city lord of the humans? That's right. Of course we're going to assassinate her. The big black bear was still spitting bubbles out of his mouth, and his mouth was filled with the smell of alcohol. I was thinking that these humans actually killed our lord. So I'm going to kill their city lord. The other patrolling little demons found this story quite interesting. All of them put their weapons aside and sat on the ground. They looked up at the big black bear and waited for him to continue. What happens next? The two of you are so bold to run into a human city to assassinate their city lord and come back alive. You're really lucky. I think the two of you are just bragging. The city lord is alive and well now. Where did you go? Don't you understand? The two of them are already drunk to this extent. Aren't they just greedy for the wine brewed by others? It's useless to say so much. Ha ha ha. This group of little demons began to tease the big black bear. For a moment, the scene was filled with a happy atmosphere. The big black bear's face was red as he looked at them and said indignantly, "What nonsense are you talking about? We brothers almost succeeded. But the city lord was really lucky. She escaped. Otherwise, she would already be a dead man." The others naturally did not believe the big bear's words. Stop bragging. It's already good enough that the two of you can approach her city lord manor. Even the demons in Ping City are no longer allowed to approach the inner city. They all live in the outer city. What ability do the two of you have? Of course we can get close if we have the ability. The big bear patted his stomach and said, "That day, Hujujio, that woman, stood on a platform in the market in the outer city and spoke. The two of us brothers were already prepared with weapons in our hands. We wanted to stab Hujujio to death on the platform and avenge our boss." There was indeed such a thing. In order to appease the demons in the outer city, Hujujio had gone to several places. Li Yuanqing knew this very well. With a little adaptation, it became such a story. The others were engrossed in the story. At this moment, the black bear's small eyes suddenly turned to his side. Everyone glanced at him. Their eyes clearly revealed their shrewdness. However, that shrewd expression only flashed across his face for a moment before he returned to his charmingly naive appearance. He slapped his thigh and scolded, but who knew that there would be a passing lizard that day? It didn't even put away its tail when it walked. It swayed and hit my butt, pushing me to the front of the stage and making everyone look at me. I couldn't do anything at all. Seeing the big black bear's aggrieved expression, the others pounded their chests and said, "What are you afraid of? You're already prepared to go. Can't you just go up and kill Hujujio?" That's right. I heard that Hujujio is just a woman. Her strength is only average. You already have such a chance, yet you're still afraid. You're clearly timid. Look at the two of you. As if you guys could do anything. Don't say so many useless things. Faced with everyone's sarcasm, the big black bear's face alternated between red and white. How can you humiliate my innocence like this? I clearly expressed my determination to go, but Hujujio only took a glance at me and I forgot what I should do. I was really muddle-headed. Don't embarrass yourself. The werewolf sitting on the ground said to him angrily. The others naturally turned their gazes to the werewolf. What about you? If he has such a reason, what about you? Aren't you hiding well? Why didn't you do anything? Don't tell me you have the same reason as him. Faced with everyone's questioning, the werewolf said very righteously, "Originally, the two of us had planned to attack together, but he suddenly froze there. How can I attack?" The captain of the patrol team picked up his weapon again, and his aura gradually stabilized. After the attack just now failed, the aura in his body was messed up. After a short rest, his condition finally stabilized. No matter what these two fellows did, neither of them should be living here now. The captain unknowingly circled behind the big black bear, and the knife in his hand was slowly filled with spiritual energy. While everyone's gaze was on the werewolf, the big black bear stretched out its claws and swayed left and right, as if it was scratching an itch. It was unknown what had grown on its back. "Brother, look at what's on my back. Why does it feel especially itchy?" The big black bear straightened its broad back and turned to the captain's face. The captain was smug and thought to himself that he had fallen into his trap. However, Li Yuanqing also deliberately blocked this captain with his wide body, isolating him from everyone's line of sight. Li Yuanqing's back kept leaning towards the captain's face as he retreated step by step. He even asked over and over again, "Brother, did you see that? What exactly is my back? Do I have lice? Or something? I haven't showered for a few days. Have you found it? Why don't I feel anything?" Soon. As the captain spoke, he slowly raised the saber in his hand and suddenly slashed down. However, his saber sank into the back of the big black bear like a clay ox entering the sea. His eyes widened in disbelief as he stared at the scene in front of him. If he didn't know better, he would have thought there was mud in front of him. He watched as his long saber sank into the back of the big black bear bit by bit, but he was helpless. He opened his mouth to shout, but in the next second, the scene in front of him suddenly changed into a wide grassland. Next, blood-red vines had already covered his face, covering his mouth and nose. He had become a statue in this domain. The members of the patrol team outside had yet to discover that their captain had already disappeared. Li Yuanqing's broad shoulders were still blocking the back tightly. Those people were still chasing after the werewolf and asking questions. "That's why you're a coward. You've already found such a good position, but you don't dare to make a move. You're about the same as this black bear. The two of you are both terrified. I mean, you're already so timid, yet you still went to assassinate the city lord. I think the two of you are really dreaming," the werewolf said unhappily. "Then why don't you dare to go? Ping City is there, and their city lord Hu Juju is in the city lord manor. Why don't you go and assassinate her? Don't look for us. The one who was killed wasn't our lord. Our lord is still alive and well. We don't have such deep hatred." This team was formed by the Giant Elephant Clan and the Red Lion Clan. Just as everyone was chatting, someone suddenly realized that he had not heard his captain for a long time. He looked at the back of the black bear. "Captain, why did you tickle him for so long? You haven't spoken for a long time. What happened?" No one answered him. The big black bear's face was red, and he leaned back as if he was asleep. "Captain, are you okay?" He stood up slowly and looked over. "I say, you're too heavy. You're pressing our captain down. Get up and move." He went up and tried to pry open the black bear's body, but no matter how hard he tried, the black bear was like a stone mountain. It was so heavy that he could not lift it. The others also realized that something was wrong, and they became more vigilant as they looked at the big bear. "It's over. He's asleep. The captain seems to be under him. What should we do? Hurry up and save the captain. What's going on? The captain is so powerful. How can he be suppressed by such a guy? Who knows? Let's hurry up and do it." As they spoke, they organized themselves and split up beside the big black bear, trying their best to pull his body up. However, just as they used all their strength to move the big black bear's eyes suddenly opened and a crack appeared on its face. The crack split open to the end, and the black bear was left with only its skin. A muscular young man jumped out. Before these people could react, the huge bear skin in their hands turned into a sack and wrapped around the members of the patrol team from the inside out. Li Yuanqing raised his hand and turned the bear skin into a sack. The sack circled around his hand again and suddenly disappeared. He had put it into his domain. "Master, they probably didn't react at all and didn't even reveal any news. They're really under your control?" If Li Yuanqing wanted to deal with these small patrol team members, it would naturally be easy. In this huge array formation, any movement could be easily detected by the watcher. Li Yuanqing had attacked very neatly just now and covered his aura very well. After dealing with these people, it was still quiet and no one came. The two of them hid in the nearby forest for a while. After confirming that there were no other teams, they continued to advance quietly. On the other side, at the top of Dongming Mountain, Dongming, who had his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes. He waved his sleeve and countless stars appeared in front of him. This illusory image was the epitome of the entire Dongming Mountain. The specks of light were scattered in the mountain. These light spots moved slowly one by one, as if they corresponded with the patrol team members patrolling the mountain. Dongming slowly looked at a place at the foot of the mountain. A few light spots had dimmed. Dongming put the map away. A gust of wind blew, and an armored giant elephant walked in a panic. "What can I do for you, my lord?" Why did a team of patrol members disappear in the northern region? Bring a team of people and quickly go over to check what happened.
Yes.
In the mountain path, two demons wandered around. The two of them swayed as they walked. They did not have any airs at all. They looked like they had drunk too much. As the two of them walked, they suddenly bumped into a group of people. This group of people was in a hurry and was heading in the direction they came from. This group of people were from the giant elephant clan. The leader was the guard who had appeared in the hall where Domingkong was just now. This person glared at the two of them unhappily. He originally did not want to have much interaction with them and only treated them as subordinates who had neglected their duties. Initially, they had already brushed past each other and walked past. However, the leader suddenly stopped. No matter how he thought about it, he felt that something was wrong. His lordship had instructed him just now that the patrol team at the foot of the mountain in the north was silent. Logically speaking, no one had been transferred here for a while. Then why were these two fellows coming from there? Li Yuanqing and the Bloodvine continued to walk forward in a drunken state, swaying their butts. The two of them were good enough at lying. Unexpectedly, the guy still sensed it and turned around from behind, stopping the two of them. Both of you. Li Yuanqing and Bloodvine continued walking forward as if they did not hear him. However, the leader was clearly angry. He took out the rod at his waist and struck at an ancient tree beside the two of them. A very majestic aura brushed past Li Yuanqing and smashed heavily onto the ancient tree beside him. This tree was as thick as two people hugging each other. It had been growing for decades, but it was shattered by a rod and fell to the ground. Only then did Li Yuanqing and Bloodvine stop in their tracks. They turned around and looked at the team behind them in confusion. What do you two do? Where did you come from? Why are you so drunk? Li Yuanqing's face was actually that of a giant elephant clan member from the patrol team. His face was red as he looked at the man with a smile and said, "Of course, the two of us were coming back from our shift there. In the end, we went to the wrong place and came here. We're rushing back now. Otherwise, we'll be late." Go back? Where did you two come from? Why don't I remember you two? But we're members of the Eastern Patrol Team. It's normal that you haven't seen the two of us before. However, we're really in a hurry to go back and report. The captain will be angry later. The man looked at the two of them and asked, "Since the two of you came from there, do you know why the patrol team in the north lost contact? Where did they go?" Li Yuanqing walked up to the man mysteriously. "Sir, let me tell you, they didn't do anything good. They sneaked out. I told them to guard their posts, but they still ran out with the entire team. Don't you think this is infuriating?" "What? You said they went out?" "That's right. 1,000-year-old Lingji grass grew 10 miles away. It just happened to be ripe. The fragrance floated for dozens of miles, just enough for everyone to smell it." As Li Yuanqing spoke, he was still drooling. This act could not be any more realistic. We wanted to get a share too, but after being scolded by them, we could only obediently go back to find our captain. When the man heard the two of them, he was so angry that he slammed the rod in his hand against the ground. Li Yuanqing felt the ground under his feet tremble slightly. The man was furious. How can they still be in the mood to do something like this at this time? Where are they going to put the mission given by his lordship? "Sir, hurry up and control them. They're completely lawless. We've been talking to them for a long time, but they don't believe us at all and insist on running out." When the man heard Li Yuanqing's words, he looked at Li Yuanqing in admiration and said, "His lordship admires young people like you the most. However, if he saw the two of you drinking so drunk today, you wouldn't be able to keep your heads. Fortunately, you met me today." Li Yuanqing seemed to be badly frightened. He hurriedly covered his head and widened his eyes in panic, looking around. "Sir, are you joking? We didn't drink much and only drank a little. We're all sober." As soon as he said this, the strong smell of alcohol rushed into the man's face, causing the many team members behind the man to cover their noses. "All right, I think the two of you should find a place to relax. Don't report to your superior with the smell of alcohol." "Thank you, sir. We'll find a place to disperse the alcohol." After giving Li Yuanqing some more instructions, the man hurriedly led his team members towards the north. Fortunately, the Great Lord had discovered them early. Otherwise, They would not be able to escape responsibility if someone took advantage of them and escaped. Li Yuanqing watched in a daze as the team slowly disappeared into the fog. His eyes suddenly became clear, as if he was not drunk at all. The two of them passed by such a forest and shook off their pursuers. Bloodvine did not dare to say anything beside Li Yuanqing just now. He only walked forward with his head lowered. The two of them walked for a while and circled around the small mountain before arriving at a lake in front of them. This lake was very tranquil. There were weeds growing beside it and many tall trees around it. It was considered quiet. Li Yuanqing took a simple look. There were no demons guarding at the side. Most of these demons were guarding the surroundings of the periphery, and this lake had already reached the center. Looking up from the lake, one could vaguely see the towering peak of the Dongming Mountain. The two of them stopped beside the lake and took off their skins, revealing their original appearances. Master, your disguise technique is really good at fooling them. Li Yuanqing's expression froze. He suddenly sensed some aura and suddenly stretched out a hand to grab at the center of the lake. A phantom took 2 steps back and stood 2 to 3 meters away from Li Yuanqing, looking at him from afar. Good kid. I felt that there was something strange about the disappearance of that patrol team just now. I specially attached a wisp of my soul to my disciple. As expected, I sensed something strange the moment I met the two of you. The image transformed by this phantom was Demingkong. Demingkong floated on the lake like a real person and sized up Li Yuanqing and the Bloodvine. All right, a young kid and a half-human, half-demon demon actually dared to come to this place. I think you humans really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Li Yuanqing had been careless. He did not expect that Demingkong's divine sense would be magnified several times in this array formation. This meant that this scheming fellow had an opportunity. Li Yuanqing was careless and did not check the patrol team carefully just now. As a result, his whereabouts were exposed. The remaining 2 enemies were quite capable. I thought you demons were all useless. I didn't expect that there would be some capable people among you. Although Li Yuanqing had been discovered, he did not panic at all. He even joked with Demingkong. Demingkong looked at Li Yuanqing coldly. Kid, where did you get such confidence from? Do you think the two of you still have a chance to escape after falling into my trap? Li Yuanqing looked up at the sky above him. The thick fog gradually condensed, and the scene beside him became more and more distorted. He raised his head and took a deep breath of the air here, completely disregarding this array formation. I don't see any danger. I just feel that although you demons have good things in your hands, you never use them properly. It's really a waste in your hands. Demingkong seemed to be amused by Li Yuanqing's words. He looked at this young kid and did not know where he got his confidence from. Good. Demingkong suddenly shouted. Since you noble humans think that these array formations can't unleash their power in our hands, come and see how I do. As soon as Demingkong finished speaking, his illusion instantly dissipated above the lake. The sky was covered in dark clouds. Dongming Mountain, which was already very foggy, became even gloomier. Originally, under the sunlight, he could vaguely see the towering peak of the Dongming Mountain. However, it immediately became visible, only half a meter in front of him. Bloodvine slowly leaned against Li Yuanqing and did not dare to move. This fog was not the most dangerous. However, there were a few very powerful energies in the fog. These energy fluctuations were sometimes far and sometimes close, sometimes strong and sometimes weak. It was unfathomable. Most importantly, this fog had a very strong effect of isolating divine sense. When the fog became thicker, Bloodvine felt that the range he could control had instantly shrunk greatly. It was about the same range as his vision. That was the equivalent of putting a black cloth over his head. Seeing that Demingkong was about to go all out, Li Yuanqing did not panic. He stood on the spot calmly and did not move. Master, why don't we retreat first? I think this lake seems to have a strengthening effect on this fog. This way, this place will be even more dangerous. Bloodvine carefully leaned against Li Yuanqing and suggested. However, when Bloodvine looked up, Li Yuanqing seemed to have changed. Just now, it was still his master, but now, it had transformed into a big tree. Just now, Bloodvine had been hugging this big tree and hiding here. Bloodvine was so frightened that he hurriedly took a step back, He thought that he was very powerful now, and his divine sense had improved greatly. However, he did not expect that he would instantly fall into the trap of someone else's array formation in just a few breaths. At this moment, Bloodvine suddenly felt a very cold power approaching from behind. He hurriedly stopped and suddenly transformed into countless vines that whipped behind him. With a crackling sound in the fog, the vines pulled out by Bloodvine collided with something opposite. Just as the Bloodvine was working hard, he suddenly felt like he had been slapped. He opened his eyes in a daze and looked at Li Yuanqing standing in front of him. "Master?" At this moment, he was lying on the ground while Li Yuanqing squatted beside him. No expression could be seen on his face. "Master, what happened to me just now? Wasn't I here just now?" Li Yuanqing did not say anything else. He took out a warm white pearl and stuffed it into Bloodvine's mouth. "Hurry up and stand up. Swallow this stabilizing pearl. Don't go crazy here." It turned out that Bloodvine had fallen into the other party's illusion in a daze. This array formation was really powerful. Bloodvine had such unfathomable strength, but he was still fooled without anyone knowing. Bloodvine was confused for a long time before he finally understood that everything just now was an illusion. He thought that he was fighting someone in a real scene, but the reality was that he had fallen into someone else's illusion and imagination. He was clearly wasting his spiritual energy by constantly playing games. At this moment, a 10,000 feet tall demon god descended from the sky. However, its huge feet covered the sky and sun, and it was about to trample the two of them into meat paste. "Master, is this true?" Bloodvine looked up at the huge foot that covered the sky and sun and could not help but exclaim. Li Yuanqing only stood on the spot without moving at all, as if the scene in front of him was nothing. Bloodvine could only squat beside Li Yuanqing and imagine that all of this was an illusion technique that would not hurt him. At this moment, two thick arms suddenly stretched out from behind Li Yuanqing and raised above his head. However, after the arm reached the top of his head, it did not stop expanding. In the blink of an eye, a huge demon god that was also 1,000 feet tall crawled out from behind Li Yuanqing and shot into the sky. This demon god was born with 3 heads and 6 arms. His 6 hands waved different weapons. In just an instant, he blocked the huge sole of the foot. He even waved his saber with his other hand and sat on the ankle, chopping off the huge sole. These 2 arms cooperated with each other. Almost the moment they touched, Demingkong's Dharma idol was at a disadvantage. On the mountaintop, Demingkong was shocked. Li Yuanqing was clearly using an illusion technique to transform into such a demon god. It was actually the same method as him. However, the problem was that he had used the huge power of this array formation to execute this ultimate technique. However, Li Yuanqing did not have anything to rely on, yet such a huge Dharma idol had appeared on the ground to confront him. Moreover, after a confrontation, Demingkong was still at a disadvantage. How could he not be surprised? After Demingkong suffered a loss, he stopped and faced Li Yuanqing. Although Li Yuanqing was extremely small under the feet of the demon god, he emitted an incomparably huge power. There seemed to be a powerful energy field lingering around his body, making him look like a god that flickered with intense light. Demingkong had an ominous feeling. Although he did not want to admit it, what Li Yuanqing had said just now was exactly what he wanted. Although the demons could snatch these array formations, they were far inferior to humans when it came to truly using them. After all, these things were created by humans. Even if they had the ability to plunder, they did not have the ability to unleash their full power. How could he not be terrified when he was actually at a disadvantage in such a situation? Good Lord, I was careless. I didn't expect you to have such superb illusion techniques. The demon god representing Demingkong in the sky buzzed. Li Yuanqing replied disdainfully, "There are many things you can't think of." As soon as he finished speaking, the huge demon god in the sky seemed to have received some special order. It suddenly attacked. Its huge hand turned into a fan that covered the sky and covered the sun as it covered the enemy's head. Demingkong had suffered a loss just now, so he naturally would not be careless now. He did not dare to be negligent when Li Yuanqing actually dared to attack first. He waved his hand and a thick rod that reached the sky landed in his hand. He waved the rod that was like a pillar and slashed at Li Yuanqing. All kinds of scenes kept transforming in the surrounding domain, trying to confuse Li Yuanqing, causing the blood vine and Li Yuanqing to fall into a deep illusion that they could not extricate themselves from. However, Li Yuanqing seemed to have completely controlled this array formation. All he could see was Domingkong's clone. No matter how the weather outside changed, no matter how dazzling the scene outside was, Li Yuanqing's slap had already landed firmly on Domingkong's head. The huge palm and the huge rod collided and exploded. A huge energy fluctuation swept in all directions. Bloodvine only watched as the scene in front of him fluctuated violently. Everything he saw seemed to be a strange painting. After the high temperature, these scrolls twisted and flipped, changing into various forms. After this scene distorted, a vast and majestic energy swept towards the blood vine. Li Yuanqing, who was in the center of the storm, remained motionless as if nothing had happened. He allowed the energy wave to hit him, but it could not injure him at all. Bloodvine thought that the fluctuation was not strong and wanted to withstand it. However, when the energy wave reached his body, this powerful force instantly sent him flying. Bloodvine spat out a mouthful of blood and forcefully stabilized his body, setting up a barrier in front of him. What a powerful force! He did not expect that the short contact between the two of them could produce such explosive energy. Looking up at the two sides in the sky, Li Yuanqing's three-headed and six-armed demon god had lost an arm and only had 5 arms left. However, the demon statue of Domingkong was already flickering and looked like it was about to disappear. Domingkong was extremely surprised. He had thought that this young man was just an ordinary human cultivator who had accidentally barged in and would not be a threat to him. However, reality slapped him in the face again and again. It told him that this guy in front of him was not an ordinary cultivator. He was a powerful enemy. Even though this powerful enemy was deep in his array formation, he could still unleash such powerful strength. It was really unbelievable. At this point, Domingkong did not dare to underestimate the enemy anymore. He carefully set up a defensive barrier in front of him to prevent Li Yuanqing from taking the opportunity to attack. After the demon statue was damaged, Domingkong's body also suffered some damage. Good kid, I've never seen a human as powerful as you. It seems that I'm really ignorant. There's actually such a human expert in the catacombs. As Domingkong spoke, he secretly recovered his strength. He had suffered great damage from the 2 attacks. Li Yuanqing retracted his hands and feet after releasing the attack just now. He did not seem to intend to follow up with another attack. Bloodvine originally thought that since his master had the upper hand now, he should follow up with another attack and completely defeat Domingkong so that they could completely control him. However, he did not expect Li Yuanqing to suddenly stop. He looked at his master's calm expression and felt anxious. Master, this person was seriously injured just now. He actually doesn't have the strength to attack suddenly. Why don't we take this opportunity to kill him directly? It will save us trouble. However, Li Yuanqing did not seem to hear him. He still stood rooted to the ground.
Domingkong stared at Li Yuanqing warily.
He thought that Li Yuanqing would be able to realize it at this moment, but it seemed like Li Yuanqing had no intention of attacking at all. He was afraid that Li Yuanqing would remember this, so he hurriedly said to Li Yuanqing, "Kid, I see that you're a capable expert. I can give you a choice now. As long as you're willing to submit to Lord Black Dragon, you'll have endless wealth and glory." Li Yuanqing had not done anything since just now. Now that he suddenly heard him say this, he seemed to be very disdainful and revealed a disdainful smile. "Don't waste time. Why haven't you called your accomplice after all this time? I'm sure he's nearby." Domingkong was extremely shocked by Li Yuanqing's words. When he realized that he could not withstand this person, Domingkong hurriedly sent a message to Shi Fengchun. Shi Fengchun was nervously entering the control of the array formation. As long as they completed the connection of this array formation, the 2 of them would join forces and kill this kid here. However, he did not expect that Li Yuanqing had already figured out his arrangements. Yet, he was still so calm. Where did he get his confidence from? On the other side, Shi Fengchun had just arrived. He sat cross-legged on a huge array and slowly focused. Not long after, the surrounding corners of the huge array began to flash. After flashing 3 times, the patterns of the array formation suddenly twisted like a fish. In an instant, Li Yuanqing saw dark clouds flickering in the sky. They were dense and covered his head. Bloodvine was suffocated by this powerful force and lay beside Li Yuanqing with his mouth wide open. Under Li Yuanqing's care, he could still breathe. Not good. His reinforcements have arrived. Bloodvine hurriedly reminded Li Yuanqing. It was really the same as what Li Yuanqing had said just now. Domingkong seemed to be confronting Li Yuanqing, but in fact, he was waiting for his brother to support him. This way, under the pincer attack of the two of them, only Li Yuanqing had the ability to fight. It was hard to say if Li Yuanqing could gain the upper hand again. Bloodvine only panicked for a moment, but when he saw that Li Yuanqing did not panic, he calmed down. Shi Fengchun took out a black cloth bag and reached in with his other hand. He grabbed a handful of black beans. He closed his eyes tightly, and his divine sense had already landed in the array formation. He suddenly threw the large handful of beans in his hand forward. The black beans were rolling everywhere on the array disk. The faint black light flickering on them actually echoed the frequency of the array disk. In the array formation, a huge hand suddenly opened a crack in the dark clouds. The dark clouds were split into 2 by the huge hand. Thousands of heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals appeared from the dark clouds on both sides and stood tall in the clouds. The majestic aura suppressed the 2 people below until they could not breathe. Haha, kid. I knew you wouldn't be able to hold back and would fall into the trap. We've been waiting here for a long time. Shi Fengchun's thunderous laughter sounded in the sky. Oh no, master. The Bloodvine was so frightened by this shocking aura that his legs went limp. He did not know what to do. Now that they had taken the initiative to fall into someone else's array formation, there was no space for the 2 of them to move around. They could not escape even if they wanted to. Domingkong appeared again. He was still the tall Dharma idol that he had transformed into. He looked quietly at the 2 people below, his eyes filled with disdain. Kid, I deliberately exposed my flaws just now. You really think that your strength is extraordinary? That's right. With your strength, you're worlds apart from Senior Da. Moreover, in this array formation, you're like turtles in a jar. You're in our hands. You want to escape? Dream on. Shi Fengchun was smug. If the 2 of them split up to deal with Li Yuanqing, they probably would not be confident. The strength this kid had displayed just now was indeed worrying. However, the 2 of them were together and facing this person together. Their chances of winning were naturally much higher. Moreover, he seemed to have a useless servant with him. This way, he was even weaker and could not be a threat at all. Bloodvine tried his best to persuade Li Yuanqing to retreat quickly. However, he saw that Li Yuanqing was so focused on the 2 people in the sky and had no intention of retreating at all. It was not appropriate for him to chatter behind him. He could only carefully guard at the side and wait for any changes. However, 2 of them had already completely activated the array formation. Even if there were any more changes, the 2 of them were still trapped. They felt that they could not escape at all. Just as the Bloodvine was hesitating, Li Yuanqing's hands suddenly moved. After he put his hands together and changed his gestures a few times, the tall demon statue behind him suddenly blurred. The image changed and forcefully split into 3 children. They chattered and ran in 3 directions. Kid, are you crazy? You're still scattering your strength when you're surrounded by us. Are you tired of living and want to walk into a trap early? Shi Fengchun laughed proudly. However, Domingkong was still vaguely worried. This could not go on for the long term. Brother Shi, in my opinion, this person is the true murderer who plotted against the other 2 great lords. Why don't we join forces as soon as possible to kill him to prevent any more trouble? Shi Fengchun also agreed casually. Senior Da is right. The human race is full of tricks. We can't waste time with them.